Division of the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Welcome to our Value Added series. Today I am going to show you how to make cottage cheese and cream cheese. With me is Mr. Fazir Ali, my AEA in the Livestock Extension unit.
Reishma, when you made peanuts in our previous video, you used UHT milk and pasteurized milk. Are we using those to make cheese?
Do you remember for the pasteurized milk peanuts? It had a better texture.
Yes, I did. Yes.
So the UHT milk will not work in cheese making because the proteins have been destabilized, and as a result the calcium in the milk does not bond properly to make a good curd in cheese making.
So are we using pasteurized milk?
Definitely. So we can use standard pasteurized milk. This is the standard pasteurized milk, and typically you can use cow's milk or goat's milk. Standard pasteurized just simply means that the temperature does not exceed 162 degrees Fahrenheit for 16 to 20 seconds or 145 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. Now, we managed to get raw milk. So raw milk is usually not sold on the market. It is still illegal to sell raw milk unless you're a processor. So raw milk comes directly from the animal, which the farmer would filter and cool down before bottling. So it is important that you do not use raw milk from an animal suffering from mastitis, which is inflammation of the udder. And also you can't use milk from an animal that received antibiotics. So raw milk is not pasteurized and it will contain pathogens, as you know, which can affect human health. And as a rule, if in doubt, pasteurize.
So let's talk about the different types of milk that we use in cheese making.
So you can use cow's milk, goat's milk, you can even use sheep milk. So the type of milk you will end up working with will influence the cheese making process. Cow's milk will produce a firm curd and is easy to work with. It produces many different types of cheeses sold on the supermarket. Goat's milk, on the other hand, will produce a white and slightly soft cheese because the curd tends to be more delicate. So cleanliness is of the utmost importance when dealing with your milk. All utensils and equipment need to be cleaned and sterilized.
As you can see here, we have two strainers, our measuring spoons and cups, two wooden spoons, and two thermometers. Also, we need a cheesecloth. If you don't have cheesecloth, you can purchase voile or tulle. Then we need stainless steel bowls, stainless steel pots, storage containers, and a food processor or a mini chopper.
So the materials we will require for the cottage cheese include 2 liters of pasteurized milk and 2 liters of raw milk. We will also be using white vinegar, salt, herbs and spices. So cottage cheese is a simple fresh cheese curd with a mild flavor and a creamy, non-homogeneous texture. It can be made when heating the pasteurized milk or pasteurizing the raw milk, then mixing it with an acid. So you can either use lactic acid producing bacteria cultures or an acid like the vinegar, rennet or lemon juice. This acid causes the curds and whey to separate. Cheesemakers will cut the curds into small pieces and reheat them to mellow out the flavor and firm up the texture. Then they will drain off the whey, rinse and salt the curds. Some cheesemakers do not rinse, they will just utilize it without the salt. So we're going to start with the raw milk first because this has to be pasteurized. So I'm going to empty this out into the pot. Okay, so I'm putting this now into a bigger pot to pasteurize because if you don't have a pasteurizer, you can actually use whatever you have at home. Just make sure that the water level comes up where the milk level reaches. So we need 160 degrees Fahrenheit or 71 degrees Celsius for 20 seconds. You don't want to boil the milk because it can impart a cooked flavor. As the milk heats up, keep stirring the milk to prevent scorching at the bottom. If your temperature goes over the required temperature, do not worry, you can just take it off the heat. So what I'm simply doing here is to slowly put the vinegar, the white vinegar, and stir it in. Are you getting the curds? So I don't want to stir this in too much. And leave this here. Okay, so half an hour has passed, and we're going to strain this now into here. Okay, so notice how the curds is draining. So we're just going to allow this to drain. Okay, so this is the whey, and this is the curds draining out. You just allow it to drain out a little more, and eventually we will salt it and mold it. So this is the whey. Let's talk about the whey. What you can use with the, how you can use the whey. The whey can be actually fed to pets, or if you want to use it in your recipes, you can use it in your rice recipes, your meat recipes. I use it to actually break down beef and lamb and goat, because it will help to break down the meat further when it's cooking, because you want to tenderize it a bit. So that's what the acid will do. You can even use it in your baking recipes. For the cream cheese, we will use yogurt and fresh curds that we make. I will be using my homemade yogurt as well as store-bought. Okay, so I'm going to salt the curds and then make cream cheese out of the fresh curd. So it's recommended to use 1 teaspoon for every half cup. So this is 8 ounces, and 8 ounces is close to a cup. So I'm going to use 2 teaspoons. And I'm using sea salt, right? And then I'm gonna just incorporate this in. Good enough. We don't want it to drain out any further, and we don't want too much of the moisture coming out, right? So now we're gonna whisk this. So I'm using half cup. This is about maybe 12 ounces. So we're gonna use some of this hot whey in this to make the cream cheese using the fresh curds, right? Okay. So you see hot water. You can use hot water if you're not getting the texture, just to make sure that it comes out smooth for you. Right? Okay, so I'm using my homemade yogurt, and I'm going to just simply put this in. It's so thick. Look how thick my yogurt is, right? And I'm just simply gonna put this out into this, right? All right, so this is draining, and as this is draining, I will have to leave this overnight for 24 hours. After 24 hours, this is what it should look like. And this is the amount of water that will drain out. This is my homemade, and I'm just simply going to salt this now. And so this is after 24 hours. And what I'll do, I'll put it in a bowl for next 24 hours. So this came out after 12 hours. I took it out. It was drained. This was drained good, and I'm just going to mold it now and leave it in this container for another 12 hours. Right? Bearing in mind, I want it to be locked properly so that it will drain properly. I'm going to take this out now and put this into the bowl. Wax paper or baking sheet paper. Okay, so I'm going to use the pasteurized cream cheese that I made. Look how creamy it came out. So I'm going to make this into a sweet dip. I'm just going to use 2 tablespoons. Bearing in mind this is sugar-free, right? It only has 10 calories. So, and it's 10 calories per tablespoon. So if you want it a little sweeter, you can add to your taste preference. I'll just put 1 more. Okay, and I'll stir this in. Okay, so to season up now, what I did, this is my seasoned one. I seasoned it up already. So I simply used the pepper flakes and a little parsley. And then I'm going to use some black pepper. And I'm just going to stir this in. Alright, so I'm just tasting this to make sure that it has just the right seasonings. This is the end product of the cottage cheese. This is the pasteurized one, and this is the raw one from the raw milk. And this is plain. Just salt, sea salt was used. Bearing in mind, you cannot use iodized salt. Iodized salt will inhibit the growth of the bacteria, and you want the good bacteria to reside in the cheese. And then this is the cream cheese made out of the raw milk. Unfortunately, this did not come out so creamy, but that's not a problem. And then depends on your, this is the cream cheese from the pasteurized milk, and we would have put jam in it. This is the dip I just recently made. Right? And well, this is the end product of the yogurt, the plain yogurt, and I separated it and put some to make a dip. This is the dip. So thank you for watching this video, and look forward to more on our value added series. Bye for now.